Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I have the Jeep behind me. New viewers to the channel, and even OG viewers to the channel who have forgotten may not even know that I have this 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I do. It has been my daily driver, my work vehicle, and we've owned it for almost 10 years. I've been working on it on and off throughout those years, and I realized a couple videos ago I said I was not going to make any more content with this, but since then I've had quite a few comments on older Jeep videos, and I remembered that quite a few of you actually enjoy the Jeep. So I just got done doing quite a bit of work to the front end of it, and I thought I would show you guys what I've done, how it's going, and what I still have left to do before it's time to sell it. So stay tuned. That's right, this is a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's an inline 6. It's got the 4-liter in it. It's got 2-inch spacers in the rear with 1-inch Overland Edition springs. It also has 1-inch Overland Edition springs in the front with a 2.5-inch spacer. So it's like a 3.5, 3-inch lift, although the front has gotten a little bit more lift out of it. I don't know why. I have been in the process of swapping the front end over. I put a different front axle in it, some new control arms and stuff like that. We'll get underneath and I'll crawl around and show you guys what I've been doing and kind of why I've been doing it. All right, we are underneath the Jeep. I've swapped in a Dana 30 for a Dana 30. Let me explain real quick. All of the Grand Cherokees, the WJs, the 99 to 04 Grand Cherokees, if it's 4-wheel drive, they all came with a Dana 30. A couple different variants, a couple different gearings, and what I have gone with is the one out of the Quadra-Track V8 edition. So this has what amounts to a limited slip differential. It uses friction discs to lock and unlock the differential. Is it fantastic? No. Is it better than open? Pretty much. And it also has 373 gears in it. This 4-liter version originally came with 355s with a little bit bigger tires, about 31s, bigger than stock. It kind of puts it back to normal of how it would have been. Stock ride height, stock tires, stock gearing. I've switched to this because I've already swapped the rear end in a different video to the Dana 44 with 373s and also Verilok limited slip in it. I've gone ahead and thrown a G2 diff cover on here, just, because why not? Looks good, it's easy to fill and drain, lube blocker, reusable gasket on there. I've already had this Core 4x4 adjustable track bar on there for a couple years. That really helps straighten the front end out after the lift. And then everything's currently still covered in rust because, yes, I live in Iowa. And lots of PB blaster. I've also changed the control arms. You can see my lower arm here. I've gone with Iron Rock adjustable short arms. This is not a wheeling rig. This is a daily driver. It's kind of a mall crawler, weekend warrior, gravel road driver. And even with when I was running like the 2.5-inch spacers with no springs, it really, honestly, it rode like garbage. It was really bad. Everyone on the WJ forums and stuff says you got to change the control arms. Long arms obviously would be better, but we're not going to do that. See the other side there, Bluetooth drive shaft. Obviously, we'll touch on that in a second. But I've got these adjusted pretty well. I use some pre-done adjustment recommendations online. I still need to maybe do some tweaking. Obviously, still needs an alignment. I've been driving it around just a little bit, make sure everything's functioning, everything's bolted in properly. Up top, you're probably not going to be able to see that anywhere underneath here, but I've got adjustable short arms up here. There's the end of one. Adjustable short arms on the top as well. Here is my non-Bluetooth front drive shaft. It's just a double cardan or double U-joint shaft out of a V8 Grand Cherokee. I don't know if any of these WJs with the inline 6 came with this drive shaft. I've run this shaft before and I've just taken it out when I've been working on it, obviously. I replaced my CV shaft with this. You just had to change the yoke on the pinion at the front diff, which is not difficult. And I know that it's long enough for what I'm running. And I've just been, like I said, I'm making some adjustments. I want to kind of make sure that I have my caster and everything set to where I want it, more or less, and my pinion angle is right on paper before I throw the drive shaft in and check for vibrations and stuff, because then I may have to go back and adjust the control arms a little bit more. Let's nerd out for a couple seconds on the front end of this Jeep and the control arms and stuff like that. I said earlier it rode like garbage even when it was on a spacer lift. Why is that? The way that this particular Jeep is set up, and most Jeeps, I'm going to talk in some vagueness here. Solid front axle, and the caster basically is, if you drew a line down the center of the side of your tire, the axis that Jeep rides on, front to rear. Now, theoretically, the center, the hub, stays in place, would be in the center. It's not really the case. When you lift the vehicle, it pushes the vehicle up, but it also is technically pushing that axle down, creating more space between the vehicle and the axle. And when you rotate that down, it changes the caster, the center line of your wheel and tire and the hub, which, for all intents and purposes, changes the ride quality. And in this case, by adding the lift, changing the caster, makes the ride quality more poor. It makes the steering weird and more vague, and you can get bump steer, like when you hit a big bump and it really wants to jerk the wheel around. That is the short explanation of why it makes the ride quality poor, even on spacers. The car doesn't know if it's being lifted because it's got a spring there or a spacer, and just doing that a couple inches throws that geometry out enough to affect that. By replacing it with the short arms, you're basically going to be able to put that axle back where it should be, where it would have been from the factory, rotate it around so that it has all the same angles and stuff like that that it would have had from the factory. By going with long arms, it gives the suspension a little bit more travel, obviously, and even on the road, that little bit freer travel movement will make the ride better. So we're kind of back to OE ride quality, kind of. That's my explanation there. Now, talking about the pinion angle, basically that drive shaft needs to come into that axle at a certain angle to make sure that the U-joints are functioning optimally and you're not going to get some vibration because everything is spinning. So it is kind of a fine line between tweaking that angle of that drive shaft going into the differential and that caster angle on the center line of the wheels. I realize this is very, very vague. There's lots of information out there if you guys really want to dig into it more on how you should have your stuff set up. Right about now, I have the axle kind of pushed back forward to the middle of the wheel well overall, and my pinion angle with the double cardan shaft, you should be anywhere between like 0 and 3 degrees positive, so that pinion pointed up about 0 to 3 degrees from the ground. I'm like 1 degree right now, and it's riding pretty good. My next step will probably put the drive shaft in and drive around and see if I'm getting any vibrations to see if I need to change that angle. If I do, then obviously we'll have to adjust it from there. The alignment shop can do that if you have a really good alignment shop that knows how to work on adjustable control arms on Jeeps. But a lot of times they're just gonna set the caster to 0 or whatever the factory spec should have been. Make sure the camber is as good as they can, and make sure that the tires aren't pigeon-toed or spread out. So the closer you can get that beforehand, the better. And that's about where I'm at right now. Next steps for me are to get an alignment. I've got I got a muffler that needs replaced on this. I've got some rocker panels that I'm going to go ahead and replace on this, and then I'm going to give it a fantastic detail job. I'll probably re-body line all of the plastic cladding on the outside of it because it's been living outside almost full time for the last several years. and it needs another coat done on that, and then I will go ahead and sell it. We'll make it better for the next person to continue on my work maybe and make it into an even better suited off-road vehicle, but that's where we're at. If you're new to the channel, usually we're Toyota focused content, at least over the last couple years, but a lot of DIY stuff, four-wheel drive, swapping, garage stuff, you know, kind of budget type builds and things like that. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn the notifications on too, because I drop videos every Sunday. Times may vary. Check the description down below for my Instagram and Facebook, where I post daily over there, just everyday life stuff. Those are kind of like my personal and business pages. And I will drop some links at the end of the video for some more Jeep build stuff. And then of course be sure to go through the back catalog of all of my videos to see more stuff on this. The DIY sleeping platform that I did, a couple of the back roads, gravel trips that we did here in Iowa, quick release back seat mounts, things like that. So thank you for watching, and until next Sunday, take care, goodbye.